Maybe this is working.
Oh, were we muted?
I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out now.
Oh, okay.
Maybe this is working. There it
Okay.
is.
Yeah. I
What we
apologize.
got? We're trying to figure out
I
now.
apologize, you guys. We don't know what we're doing anymore because Coffee Date Monday has been such a long time ago that we don't know what we're doing. So
We back, y'all. How about that? We back.
happy Coffee Date Monday.
Happy Coffee Date Monday. Mm, coffee.
Good to see y'all on here, Reese
Reese is in.
and Latanya Wallace, our ride or die.
Yep. Good to see everybody.
Ride or die.
We are here back in
Yep, Reese said we can hear you.
sunny Suisun, California.
You guys, we are officially home.
Oficial.
We are home. This guy has been released from the
Release.
cardiologist warden, and we are here at home with our kids, loving on our babies, hugging our babies, even though they're teenagers now and they don't want to be hugged or held. But I don't care. I've been hugging them and holding them, and Judah's giant self has been like just sitting on me and smashing me, and I haven't been able to breathe, but I don't even care. I've
Yeah.
just been so happy, and I'm just like, God is so good. We're here at home with our babies and our family.
God is good, man.
Yeah. So
I mean, I could sit down and be on this thing for a long time to tell you how good God is.
yeah, getting emotional.
It's
It's
just,
hard not to get
it's
emotional.
it's it's tough, y'all. It's tough. I mean, the whole time you sit back and you're wondering, man, when can I just get home? When can I get home? And then all of a sudden, you're home.
Yeah, and then not only that, but before that, like, when am I gonna get out of this hospital bed?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. There is just a lot to process, a lot of things going on. I mean, I would love to tell you guys everything about us and all that stuff, but we did this Coffee Date Monday from the beginning
Yeah.
about our relationships and being transparent.
Hmm.
And I'm just throwing this on Kaya right now because I'm Mr. Random.
Yes, he is, which is why Coffee Date Mondays is so amazing because I never know what he's gonna say and where we're going.
I'm not going to say anything, but just one of the things that we dealt with during this whole time is it was really weird to see that when our social workers and everybody else was coming around to see us and talk to us, that they were shocked at the closeness
Hmm.
that Kai and I have. Um, they were shocked at how Kai would just take care of me, and she was so patient. And because I'll just be honest with you guys, it was frustrating a lot of times. It was a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, and she stood there by me as long as she could. She fought for me, she advocated for me, and she did all this. And the doctors, the social workers, and all of them were amazed at our relationship and our togetherness.
Yeah.
And it was a testimony to not just the doctors and the social workers, but even the nurses and and those people and all stuff like that. And that's just a testimony of God's goodness, of us sticking together and working the covenant that God has given us.
Yeah, I feel like if you really think about it, like all the Coffee Date Mondays that we did before and all the topics that we talked about and stuff like that, it's almost like our relationship was getting prepared for a season like that.
Yeah.
And then that season came as the tester. Like, when something's been tried, then it is so. Like, it's like we can say we have a strong marriage, we can say we have a strong connection, but until it's tried, right?
And the funny thing about it is a football player works out all year long. And he works his muscles out, but it wasn't about the bench press. It's about him going out and showing his strength. Not in the gym, but out in the world.
Yeah. The athlete, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, with us, we talked about it, we worked on it, and now the test comes.
Yeah.
And the test didn't happen when we talked about it. The test wasn't over all the stuff that we learned in the word that God gave us for our marriage. It was like, okay, now that you got all this, what are you going to do with it? And then that's when it happened. And your vows get tested.
Yeah.
Through sickness and through health.
That was a test. Like, I feel like I don't want to complain, but not being able to be with you like around the clock, like that was a thing for us, especially when you first got admitted to the hospital, because there was a certain time I had to leave. And sometimes I'd stay over because, me and the nurses, I like literally try my best to keep really good relationships with all the nurses. And a lot of times they say, it's okay, just go ahead and stay. I won't say anything, but, the hospital, especially like Stanford, like they're super diligent about everything. So a lot of times when I had to leave, like it was a little bit nerve wracking because like stuff was happening, and usually stuff was happening like in the middle of the night.
Always.
Yeah, isn't that a trip?
Always in the middle
of the night.
In
the middle of the night when I'm not there. And if I can just be honest, I feel like I have a little bit of PTSD at night. Like I'm still not all the way settled at night because I would always get the abrupt phone call, or there would be some sort of emergency in the middle of the night. Because even before you went to the hospital, before this whole process started, your heart began to fail in the middle of the night, And so there's something about in the middle of the night for me right now, and I'm working on that, and I'm allowing the Lord to just, through his peace, just kind of cover me and just continue to drape over me and, allow the Lord to just sing peace over me. But it's a process of coming out of that tenseness, like getting ready for something to happen. Also, like I've been like doing therapy for a couple of weeks now, like shuffling through some of these emotions in a healthy way. Just because coming out of it, it's like, okay, now I feel like I have the time and the space to kind of sort through how I'm feeling, how I'm processing these things. Have I been processing it in a healthy way? And that's been really helpful too, because what we suppress will sooner or later come in oppress us. Like it's gonna surface again. So
it sure will.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to be a suppressor. I want to be sure I cast all my cares, all my thoughts upon the Lord, and be sure nothing's hidden.
Yeah, I will tell y'all something about this lady right here. She's a warrior.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
I feel
my
like
wife is a warrior, you guys. I mean, she would go off on the doctors. Like if I'm talking, because you guys know me, I'm like try to talk and be like da da da.
And he wants to make sure everybody's okay, like not realizing, homeboy, you the patient. Like don't worry about making sure they okay. Okay, let's make sure you okay. So,
but they did, So we. Kai was like, I'd be a little bit more patient with the doctors, not Kaya. And now, like literally, when they started coming into the room, before they even had their rounds, the doctors, all these doctors would come out in the morning.
Nurse practitioners,
all of them.
Pharmacists.
They would all come in.
They all huddle. They call it a morning huddle.
Yeah. So they do the rounds, and then before they'd even start at my room, they'd come in and go, "Is Mrs. Butcher here?" Because they wouldn't start until Kai got here, because she had all the questions.
Yeah, all the questions, and like, okay, so I see that there's a change in his GFR, or I see there's a change in his bun numbers. Like, are we doing anything to back off of this?
She knew everything.
I was like studying stuff. So like when I had to leave the hospital, I go and I look at all his lab results, and I'd look the definitions up to figure out what they mean. Because Stanford's really great. I mean, honestly, Stanford's really great. They give you a plethora of freedom as far as like knowing what's going on with your care. I really, really appreciate that. So we'd have these like logs of labs. Every time John had labs, like we'd get all the information right away. And so it's like, okay, if I have this information, like I want to look it up. I want to see, are we progressing? Or are we stepping back? Like, because a lot of times I didn't know if they were kind of shielding us from some things, to not, because with in the medical field they're practicing, and they don't always like to tell you things ahead of time. They want to test and be sure that what they think is happening.
That's why they call it
happening.
practice. Doctors practice medicine.
Yeah.
They practice medicine.
Right. So a lot of times I would be thinking, okay, I feel like they're hiding something because they waiting on the test results of something to officially say something. So I would do some digging on my own and like bring it up in the huddle. And it was so cool because a lot of like the nurse practitioners that were working there and different people that were in the huddle, they'd shake their head like, good job that you're involved with your husband's care. And that tells me that a lot of patients don't have that same support system, and I just don't see how people could go through something like that just by themselves, not having that other voice, not having that extra layer of application.
That's why the two shall become one, and that you need oneness during that time as an advocate.
Yeah.
And we've learned so much about the advocate, and in a marriage, because Jesus is our advocate, and he's the one that intercedes, and he's the one that jumps in for our behalf. And then here I am in the hospital, and then I have my advocate. And, maybe one day I have to be her advocate. But, praise God, that's something that we're starting to learn through life lessons through Christ. Yeah. And I think it's awesome. It's just awesome that we've learned stuff that we're learning, stuff that we have learned. But definitely, just to let you guys know, this woman over here, I don't know. I'll share a moment if I could be candid, you guys. Look, Kai turned to look at me like,
of course you're going to be candid
because you guys know me. So I've always been a big guy, muscular, and after a while I was losing a lot of weight because I wasn't able to eat and everything else like that. And it was embarrassing for me because I was bedridden and I couldn't get up.
Yeah, I couldn't walk.
I couldn't walk. So of course, when you have to use the bathroom, you have to use bedpan. That did a lot. It really made me feel demoralized. I felt really bad. But then eventually, as I was able to stand up a little bit, it was okay because I had to use a little commode next to the toilet. But there was times that the nurses would take forever to even get to me because I'd have to go. And I didn't. They wouldn't bring me a bedpan or nothing. And here comes my wife. And of course, I had to use the bathroom, and I felt so. I'm trying to tell you guys, I felt so ashamed.
I'm sure.
I felt so embarrassed. Mind you, I've lost all kinds of weight. I pooped on myself. I used the bathroom, and my wife, and I'm trying not to get emotional, she came and she washed me. And I don't know what that means to you guys, but she washed me in parts that, I know it sounds funny, but she washed me in parts that may not have been that clean, but there were parts of me that needed some major cleaning. And even when the nurses clean me, they just do it, they do it because that's their job. But my wife did it because she would do it for me.
Because you did it for me.
Because, yeah.
But you washed me.
But it's still, it just
as a husband.
But as a husband, that's what I should do for you. But the way you did for me, I felt so bad, and just what it did. It did a lot with my pride. But then I also turned around and looked, and I remember sitting down and looking at Kai and telling her how much I appreciate her, everything she's done, and if I've ever taken her for granted. Because during this time, this emotional time, this season that I was going through, God was really working on me, but he was also working on my heart towards my wife. And I love her to death, but I never knew that there was this much love in the world outside of Christ.
Mhm.
And the love that I have for my wife that just during this time just really showed up. Yeah, we have arguments, we have disagreements. There's times that we don't like each other, but you know what? She loves me, and she proved it. She showed it to me. She, even when I was frail and I was laid down, I was down and out, she was there. She cleaned me. She washed me. So you guys, if you guys have a relationship or anything like that, you just, the same way the Bible says that, it says, men, love your wives as Christ so loved the church, and that he died for her. And I know that's a commandment for men, but it's also a commandment for us, so that we're one.
Yeah. And I feel like if it was me, you'd do the same thing. But I know it's almost like, yeah, it was, the process was so that you can have a new heart. But I also feel like so much came with this season of having a new heart. Like God took you on a journey of humility, like being bedridden in the bed, like you've lost a lot of weight, like, you've always been like an athletic guy, you've always been strong. And so it's like God just taking you on this season of humility. And there's nothing wrong with the Lord bringing you to a place of humility, because he gives grace to the humble, and more than anything, we definitely needed grace. We definitely needed grace. But let me tell you guys about this guy. Okay, let me tell you guys about him. Okay, when we first got there, you guys, like when we first got to Stanford, things took a turn so fast and so bad. Like nobody saw it coming. Like literally his heart was like,
it was done.
I don't know what y'all doing, but I'm out.
I'm done.
Like his heart like gave way. And it was so crazy to see the looks on everyone's faces, because everybody kept saying, you look so healthy. You look like such a healthy guy. And so I feel like a lot of the posturing that was supposed to probably be done for a really sick person with a really bad heart, it wasn't happening because they were looking at John's outward. So when he got to Stanford, things weren't moving as fast with the professionals, because they're just sort of like, oh, he's okay. Like I feel like we got a little time. Like let's put him on the list, but he doesn't have to be at the tippy top of the list. Like, because they're looking at him. And every time they come into John's room, he's like, hey, how you doing? He's talking about lifting weights. He's talking about football. He's talking about Jesus. Like he's great. You guys, all of a sudden, his heart just gave way. It was so bad that they put him on, and you guys have heard all of this in the updates, but they put him on this thing called ECMO, which we had never heard of it, but it's basically like a heart outside of your body. It basically takes the blood, cleans the blood, puts it back in, because all of his other functions, like his kidneys, begin to start failing as well, because the heart wasn't supplying the blood that it needed.
Right. So what it really is, it's not like dialysis where it takes stuff out of the blood. What it does is help your heart perfuse your body.
Oh, to the other organs.
So once it pumps it in, it actually starts pumping the blood out to be a little bit more, to perfuse your body.
And it actually warms it the same way the heart would warm up the blood too, which I thought was so cool. But and so it supplies the body with the blood. But in the meantime, John is still getting shocked by his device that was put in like years ago, because the device is realizing, oh wait, the heart is having a spasm and it's not working.
Ventricular fibrillation.
Yeah, they call it a ventricular storm.
I had a ventricular storm, which is
so
worse.
I mean, like his heart rate got up to like 200 and
it was way up there.
Like 200. I mean, guys, it was just crazy, where they didn't really know what to do. He coded a couple of times. And so they put him on this machine called ECMO, and all you guys, standard practice of being put on ECMO, you are sedated, and most people are intubated. But it was such a shuffle, and it was such a emergency that they put him on ECMO with no pain meds, no nothing, you guys. This guy laid there and just literally, like, I mean, you guys, it's like almost like a surgical procedure. You're putting this giant cable, you're connecting it,
big old tube,
a big tube into his body, so that the heart can pump. I mean, so that the machine can pump all this blood. This guy took no pain meds, no nothing, and it was so crazy to some of the doctors. The lead doctor on the floor ran up to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to show you this picture." She took a picture of John having the procedure done, like putting this thing in. because he was on no pain meds. She's like, I hope you don't mind. I took a picture of your husband because I have never seen anybody take ECMO with no pain meds, no sedation, no intubation, no nothing. And so she shows me the picture. You guys, he's looking at the camera like this. Like, so, like, you guys, I'm like, he is literally like the strongest guy. I don't care if he's been bedridden and he's lost a lot of muscle. There's a bunch of people that would never be able to have that mental strength to be able to do that. Not just once,
twice,
but twice. Because after he got his new heart, you guys heard my updates. Things went south again. They brought the ECMO machine back and there was no time for sedation or intubation. He took ECMO with none of that 2 times.
So what they do is they cut open your leg or open your groin area, and literally they open up your femoral vein, and they stick a real big tube catheter into the vein, and they shove it in there really long, and that's where it's able to take in the blood and do what it has to do.
Yeah, so the cable little tube has to be big enough,
right?
To
and the cold part about it is the first, like, they had done it once, so they had to do it again, but they couldn't do it on my right leg because they already had I had something else on that leg.
Yeah.
So
another machine,
a different machine doing something through my right side. So on the left side they had to do it again. So like even now I bear the scars on my legs are all tore up. Mm-hmm. Some of my nerve endings aren't working well, but when they did it. I don't know where I got the strength from. I just was looking at him like, just do it, man.
I want to live. Like, let's literally, go. You guys, it got to a point where he's like, I want to live. Like, this is my fight. I was like, let's go. And that's what he was telling them too. Like, let's go. They were all in the room saying, like, okay, so should we sedate? Like, they were all looking at each other like, what are we gonna do? Like, should we call the anesthetician and anesthesiologist? Yeah. They were like, so they're looking at each other like, this has to happen right now, but what are we gonna do? He's not sedated. John's like, let's go. Let's go. He's in the bed, you guys, like, let's go. Let's go. So it was like he was on the football field, you guys, telling them, let's go. And you guys, I just no lidocaine, no Demerol. They all were looking like, nothing. We're about to do this to this guy. Let's go. Let's go. And he was telling them, let's go. And I felt it. Listen, I'm telling you something. I felt it all. Yeah. Don't think I'm sitting there like, yeah, man, you didn't feel it. No, I felt it all. Yeah. I can't imagine. So it's like he goes on and on about how strong I am, but John was in there doing the majority of the fight. And you guys, the fight was not easy because it seemed like every turn we took, there was something else. You know what I mean? There was there was another fence to climb. There was another, trench to dig around every turn. And every time the doctors would come in the room, they'd say, man, it's like if a new doctor came on duty, they'd have to read his file. And they were like, they'd walk in the room and say, you do not look like the guy that I just read all that information on. Like, I cannot believe you went through all this stuff. We're looking for somebody that's like, looking depleted and, but you look like the epitome of health. Like, they were like, I can't believe you went through all this stuff. You guys, I don't know why it happened that way. But I'm just thankful that he made it out, you guys, that he made it to the other side. And it's like, man, I have never seen the goodness of the Lord on that side and that close and that tangible before. Like, just the responsiveness of the Lord and the responsiveness of the saints, our friends, our family. They were so in tune. Like, prayer was happening. Man, Reese is on here. I can't not say enough without being emotional about Reese and Ed making that drive. Like, I don't even know how many times they made that drive just to stand out of the hospital, just to stand outside the hospital to pray and declare healing over you. They couldn't even get in the hospital. They couldn't get in. They wouldn't let them in. But they would go there and just pray. Dude, we're talking about during traffic. There's probably about two hours and 20 minutes in the heat of traffic. And they would do that, and that's just one way. They would do it like consecutively. I kept thinking that they got a hotel room because they kept showing up. Like, for a little bit, they were showing up kind of daily, and I was like, oh, they must have. I told John when I got in his room, I said, I think Reese and Ed got a hotel room. They're coming again, And when I talked to her, she was like, no, we're driving back and forth. and they would just stand out the hospital to pray and declare. There was people that showed up from FBC Church just to drive up to the hospital to stand outside and to pray and declare healing over John. And we don't take that lightly, because we know that's why you're here today. We know that. And just the act of generosity with people, with your time, just with your strength, with your energy. You getting off work and you're driving 2 hours just to stand outside the hospital to pray. And one of the times that Reese, Ed, and some of their friends came to pray, they had not a clue that John was coding at that very moment. I almost ran over one of Reese and Ed's friends in the parking lot. And because I was trying to get there so fast because it was happening, they were like, John was like, get here now. You guys, it was so crazy. He told Siri to call me as he's coding, and the crash code team was running into his room. He called me. He was like, get here now. And of course, it happened in the middle of the night. So I'm running in the hospital. I didn't even stop at security. I told security, my husband's coding. I'm going in right now. I'm tearing into the parking lot. Those of you that have rode with me know I can drive fast. I am a race car driver. I can get you there quick. If you rob a bank, call me. I will get you.
She's a getaway driver.
I'm a getaway driver. Anyway, I almost ran over one of Reese and Ed's friends in the parking lot, and it was weird because when she looked up, I'm like, I know her. And I'm running in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're here to pray, not knowing, had not a clue. John's in the hospital room, crashing. Whole crash team is in there, trying to get his heart back stable. But I can't say enough about just the outpouring of prayer and generosity, man. The building is just holding us up and taking care of our kids. And Papa, you guys, Papa had his own stuff going on too.
Yep.
Papa was in the hospital like what, 3 times? You guys, like
during
everything was happening at the same time.
And what's funny is the Bible says that no weapon formed against you shall prosper.
Yeah.
And we say that so much. But sometimes I wonder if you ever sit down and think about how the enemy is coming after you. Mm. And we're so busy focused on the tactics of the enemy that we don't realize that God said it's not going to prosper.
No. And
but
I'm greater.
Yeah, but Papa as soon as I get in the hospital, Papa gets sick.
Papa never gets sick, you guys. Papa is literally like the Tin Man. Like this guy, we will find out he's had something for a long time, and he's just like, yeah, I hurt a little bit. Like Papa never gets sick. He never goes down. You guys, Papa kept getting sick. It was so weird. He kept getting
weird. It was weird.
We had to scramble to get people to come pick up our kids, and like.
But I'm trying to tell you guys, just
so TBCF was stepping in, came and we call them in a moment's notice, and they'd come and help.
Yeah,
Papa.
so we would pray. We would allow and not allow. You guys prayed for us constantly, and I wanted to share this with you guys. Is the fact is that when you guys prayed for us, the Lord began to show me Daniel about how you guys were praying and things that were happening. Everything that we needed was on its way, but because you guys kept praying and praying and pulling down principalities and things in high places and coming against the prince of the power of the air, all those things, God has already released everything that we need. Sometimes we got to keep praying. That's why Paul said, he says,
pray without ceasing.
Pray without ceasing.
Keep praying.
Keep praying. Keep going.
Yeah, because talk about what happened with Daniel. For people that don't know. Yeah,
so Daniel's sitting there praying for Israel, and he had been praying and praying and praying, but nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And as he was praying, then the angel of the Lord came and saw him, and Gabriel, and he said, first of all, this is the first thing he said. He went to Daniel. He said, Daniel. He said, first of all, he goes, the Lord hears you. The Lord heard you. And then he goes on and he tells him this is what's going on. Because the prince of the power, not the prince, the king of Persia is basically battling against the people of God. And everything that you pray for, it said God has heard you. But so I have sent, this is what Gabriel said, I have sent Michael to go fight against him. And the reason why he's fighting against him is because God had already dispatched everything that we needed. I mean, that Daniel needed during that time.
Yeah.
And he fought against, Michael fought against the king of Persia. And when he fought against him, then God was able to release what was going to be for the people, if I'm saying this correctly.
The blessings,
the blessing that was coming out. So what God showed me was that why we were praying and all that. God says, I heard you. That's number one. I know it's a message coming, but that was the first thing. We got to understand that God hears us constantly. He's heard our prayers, but there's times that the enemy, he's not trying to fight against you. He's trying to fight and hold up your blessings.
Yeah, that are on the way, that's been dispatched. And so that's why we have to keep praying.
Keep praying. You don't just say a prayer to a friend. A friend comes to you and says, hey, I need you to pray for me. You keep praying
until something moves.
Until something breaks.
Yep.
Because the enemy's not coming after you. He's coming against your blessings. He's coming against your finances.
Yes.
He's coming against everything God has dispatched
on your behalf.
Yeah,
so
for
we
you.
Pray without ceasing. We pray until we see it move, because it's like, yeah, God's responding, but there's some things that's in high places, you know, that are being held up by the enemy. And so we pray without ceasing until those things get broken up and dispatched over our lives.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. Warring angels. We said until warring angels get dispatched. Amen.
Yeah.
Warring angels fighting against the things that has our blessings held up. So don't think God is ignoring you. Don't think God is not moving or don't care.
He said he'll never leave you nor forsake you.
Right.
So he hears you.
Yeah. It's being dispatched on your behalf. And our faith confirms that. We have to know that. We have to have the hope to know and be assured. I'm going to be steadfast and continue to pray, because God's already moving on my behalf. I just haven't seen it get to me yet, but it's on its way.
It's on its way.
It's on its way.
For sure.
And so we're just so thankful for you guys' prayers, and man, so many stories. Thank you guys so much for being patient with us as we got started on our first Coffee Date Monday since forever.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, if we have had a testament to just the being able to stick together as far as like in marriage, because that's when we talk about being couples, we have went through it. And honestly, I feel like we're still sorting through some aftermath stuff on his behalf, on my behalf. There's things he's still getting used to, like the medicines and side effects of that, trying to figure out, is this the medicine or is this me, or is this something new? Like, so that's a journey that we're trying to find out as well, and realizing how much grace is still needed with this. Because honestly, like when we were there in Stanford, all we could think about was getting to the finish line. Let's get home to our family. Let's get back to church. Like literally, like that's all we set our minds there. It was like that was the marker for us. It's like, we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep plowing. We're going to stay encouraged. I'm not going to let depression take me out. I'm not going to let hopelessness take me out. I'm not going to let tiredness take me out. I'm going to keep pressing, because we're going to get back to our kids and our family, and we're going to get back to our church. And so being here today at home, and we haven't yet got to church yet, but trust me,
that's a whole nother conversation.
I need that to happen like soon. But it was like that was our goal that was set. Like it was like, keep going until we get there. You know, that was like our marker. Because I remember one time, like John was like low, you guys. It was like after he took ECMO twice, and then there's another hit comes, and they tell us something's wrong with the new heart, tricuspid valve, whatever. You guys, he hit a wall. Like, I mean, you know, and nobody could tell it like you can. I don't want to tell your story, but I mean, like he hit a wall, and I literally had to be like, you got to make a decision on if you're gonna not just do this. Don't just do this for you. Do it for your kids.
That was my resolve at that point. I was like, dude, my heart, I went through all this, and now my heart's not working.
Yeah. The
new heart's not working. So I was like, that's it. Okay.
Because at that time we didn't know really what was going on.
I'm ready to go see the Lord.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later, but I was like, I know where I'm going. I've seen it. So it's kind of like Martin Luther King said, I've seen.
Yeah.
He said, I had a dream when he looked over and he saw the promised land. I was like, okay, I'm done with this world. I'm just ready. I'm just ready to go. And then Kai looked at me, and just by the Spirit of God, I know she discerned it, because I didn't say it. She just discerned it.
Yeah.
That's because of the closeness.
Yeah.
But she said something. She stood up, and I remember laying in the bed.
Yep. I got close in his face, you guys.
And she said, you need to do it. She goes, I don't know if you don't do it for me. Don't do it for anybody else. She goes, you need to do it for your kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the way that she said it. And I said, you know what? I got to be there for the kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my resolve. I don't care what the doctor said. I said, I'm getting out of here. And don't get me wrong. I love the church. I love it, but it's God's church. I didn't have to worry about it. I had to worry about, I need to get home for my kids.
Yeah.
Because they need me.
And I knew that about John. Like, I know, like, he's a soldier's soldier. Like, John will probably quit if he has to carry something for himself. But if he has to sling somebody else on his back and carry them for them to get them home to meet their family or to get them home he'll do it. Like, I know that about him. So it's like, I knew if I told him, you got to live for your kids, you got to do it for your kids. You have to think about your kids. Like, how would your kids feel there without their dad? And it was literally like something came on, like something switched, you guys. And he fought because, like, I remember after he took ECMO the second time, he literally told the doctors and the nurses, he's like, I'm done being tough. Like, I'm done being the tough guy. Because he became famous on the floor. Like, everybody's like, so you're the guy.
I'm the guy.
They were like, you're the guy that took ECMO twice with no medication or nothing. Like, dude, you're a savage. You're a beast. I had to come see who this was. And John was literally telling him, like, I'm done. I'm done being tough. I'm done being a tough guy. Like, give me all the pain meds. Give me all the whatever. I'm done being tough. And I think, like, within that same scope, and it's completely understandable, like, literally, guys, it got to a point where he's like, I'm done. Like, I'm tired, you know? Like, I don't know how many weeks it was. It was months of fighting. Because somebody can fight real hard for a little bit. But if you try to stretch that thing out over some weeks, over some months, dude, it's not that the enemy is stronger than you. It's that the enemy has a resolve to not quit. But maybe there's something in you that's like, dude, I'm tired. I'm tired of fighting. And it's almost like I saw that on him. He got to that place, you guys, where he just got tired of fighting. And I didn't know. I mean, that was during that time. That's when I'm leaving the hospital just crying, you guys. Like, people looking at me in the parking lot because I'm just letting it all go. You guys, just tears coming down my face. I'm just crying because I didn't know. I didn't have no other songs to sing. I didn't have no other words to say to him. I was just like, I don't know how to, because I can't climb in his body and fight for him. But if I could, I would. But I don't know how to help him fight this right now. Mm-hmm. Because I understand, dude, it's heavy. Like, I've never carried anything heavy like that. So who am I to say, shake it off? You went through something crazy heavy. So I just feel like that was just the spirit of God, like, to remind him to tell him to do it for his kids. And that's what he did. He was just like, I'm getting home to my kids. I'm getting home to my kids. I'm getting home to my kids. We're getting back to our church. Like, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. And it wasn't just him having to sort through all these layers of hard stuff. It was me too, you guys. Like, I had to fight depression. Like, depression was like, hey, this is a perfect time, mm-hmm. and this is a perfect place to just be depressed and just let go. Especially going back to the hotel by myself every night without him. Like, you guys, it got really just depressing. But God is so good.
Depression is real.
He said, and my future doesn't look like this.
That's right.
Exactly. I'm trying to tell you, like, all those coffee date Mondays and stuff that I'm telling you, God prepares us for stuff before we know we need it. We needed that. We needed to know our future doesn't look like this. So,
I just want to share something with everybody. And this is just the pastor in me. Matter of fact, it's just a Christian in me. I don't know how we would have made it if you guys, the church, wasn't there. Mm. And I'm talking about a local church. I know the universal church, yes, it's there and it's floating around, and yes, I'm the church, yeah, but can I just be honest with you guys? You need a church home. And I'm talking to all because some of my friends that are watching now, but FVC and all that, God bless you. That's great. You guys are a part of a church, but some of you guys that are my friends that I love,
community.
You need community.
Yeah. Because
there's people that are in the hospital that, they don't have community, and then all of a sudden they're in the church. I mean, they're in the hospital, and they need community, but it's a little too late. And then people get upset with the church, and the church hurt because, well, my church didn't come help me.
Yeah.
Were you a part of the community?
Were they a part of you?
Even in our times of lowest, it's like the Bible says that when one rejoices, we all rejoice. When one mourns, we all mourn.
It's true.
But you need to be a part of a community.
You do. I don't know how we would have made it. Like,
we would. I can tell you, we would have not made it.
Some of those text messages and phone calls
never would have made it.
Some of those text messages and phone calls and just acts of generosity, it was like these little nudges, like, hey, you're not by yourself. Lift your head.
The prayers, man, the posts, the pictures, like you guys were sending pictures and like, hey, and you guys just don't know what that did. And then just as a man and being so far away from my house, and then you guys would come and take care of my kids and my father-in-law and my backyard and doing all this stuff. That's community.
We have people come and like plant things in our garden. Like, it's just like, it makes me so emotional because it was like, okay, we know we can't be in the hospital to fight for you, but we're going to do these little things around, to show you that we're with you and that we love you and that we want to bless you. And it's just like so emotional. Like, it makes me so emotional. It's so overwhelming. It's still overwhelming. There's times like right now, this is like post-war stuff. It's like, I just got out of deployment and I'm sitting there I just got out of a firefight 24 hours ago and now I'm back at home. You don't have time to process. And right now we're actually processing what we've been through. We are. And we sit down and I just keep thinking about the goodness of God. And I think about God's church and how the church always rallies around its community. But I want to implore you guys. I beg, I beseech you guys, find a church home. And don't just do it online. I love online church. We've been doing online church for 5 months. But I think it was Pastor Reese had said something to me, or Pastor Ed. They said something about you can watch a fire all day on TV, right? But you'll never feel the warmth. You can watch a fireplace on TV, but you'll never feel the warmth. And let me tell you, that's how we've been feeling. Oh my gosh. We've been watching the fireplace, but we have not been warmed by the fire. Girl, I've been up dancing and singing and crying and praising God, and that's all well, and I think God loves my heart, but I want to be with the people. I want to be with everybody. I want to love on everybody. Yeah. So yeah, that's just I just want to share that with you guys. I don't know, maybe you've been church hurt, or maybe you don't like politics, or you don't any of that. Yeah, but that's everywhere, guys. Because it's people. It's people. Yeah, people aren't perfect. Definitely. Pastors aren't perfect. Parents aren't perfect. Kids aren't perfect. We're not perfect, So just grace. And like I was saying, like, since we've been home and just kind of dealing with the aftermath of things, and as we're still processing some things, grace, like remembering to give each other grace. Yeah. Like I've been fasting more. Oh my gosh. So, but I did warn him ahead of time. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be fasting more. Like, I need you to give me, like, you guys, I'm telling you, when I be at that little peak of I feel like I can't go no more. Like, I swear, it's like, that's when we just like be at each other. So I try to leave. I try to find somewhere else in the house. They're like, yeah, go somewhere. No, you guys, I'm trying to tell you something. When she gets to that point of that fasting mark or whatever, it's like, yeah, it's like yesterday. I'm just gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell on her. It was so yesterday was tough. Yesterday, I'm like, I don't know where she was. I was looking at her like, is she using drugs? Has she been drinking some of my medicine? So finally she left, and I'm upstairs. Kai left for a second. And then Papa comes upstairs and he's looking at me like, what are you doing? I said, Papa, you better sit up here with me. Because she's on one right now. Yeah, you guys watched the football game. We watched the football game upstairs. I was wondering, I was like, okay, cool. I'll watch whatever I want downstairs. Right. I didn't know you guys were hiding me. Papa was laughing. I said, stay away from her. She's fasting. Stay away from her. But man, grace, just trying to remember and be reminded to give each other grace. Because one, we're still trying to come back and find our normal again. Going through side effects and medications. Man, the like side effects are crazy. Yeah, guys. It's just like grace, you guys. And that's for everybody and for any time. Like, just remembering to pull out that grace card and like give each other grace. Because as we go through, it's not always easy. It's not always pretty, So we just need to continue to give each other grace. And so we're trying to make sure we do that as the scars on his body heal and the scars on his heart and his emotions are healing. And same for me. Like we just got to give each other grace. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah.
So some of the, just to let you guys know what's kind of up with me, um, now that everybody knows I'm out, if I'm out and around and stuff like that, that's great. Hey, I love you guys. I really do. And I'm a people person.
Yes, he is.
100%. If I come and give you a hug, I'll give you a hug, but I have to stand away from you.
Yeah.
Because.
But you're doing good wearing your mask too.
Yeah, I have to wear a mask pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
When I'm out places, even outdoors.
Yeah.
I'll keep a mask on out in public because I have immunosuppressant medication that I have to take. So a common cold can actually hurt me. It can harm me. Yeah. So that's just some of the things. I just want to let you guys know that. So if I see you, like even right now today, people just run right up to me.
Yeah.
And I love people. I just want to hold on.
Yeah. And plus they've been thinking about you and
praying for me.
So they're so excited.
Right. So I want to hug them. But then after I hug you, then I'm going to just step away. Let's keep talking.
Yeah.
But I have to do like the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. The CDC, as the CDC says.
So just want to let you guys
6 feet.
know about that he's not trying to be.
I'm not being
funny
rude
style,
at all.
But it's just he's definitely his immunity is very low. And he takes medicine to keep it low. Because we're not trying to have no more drama with this new heart, y'all.
Nope. And then I have some of the medication I have gives me tremors really bad. And some of the tremors don't just affect how I walk, but equilibrium and just my speech sometimes. But eventually it'll go down. It'll the effects will go away.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So if you guys are looking at me like, man, he acts a little different or something like that.
It's the medication.
It's the medication.
Yeah, there's some little side effects to it. But I mean, he's getting so much stronger every day. Like a lot of medications are already dropping off. Like the amount that we started with, I took a picture on the first day when they put all the medications out on the table. You guys, the whole table was just full of medications, and it was super overwhelming for us because we were like, what if we forget something?
It was very overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, he has some anxiety connected to it too.
Because, oh my gosh.
We go from being in the hospital where the nurses, they just come in and say, okay, time for this or time for that. And now going from being on the outside, now he has to manage his own medication. It's a little scary.
Well, and we kind of prepared ourselves because the nurses knew that I wanted to learn the medication. They would go, okay, it's 25 milligrams of mycophenolate. It's this and tacrolimus. And this and they were going off, and I was like, okay, so what time of day do we do this? So then when we got home to start seeing the bottles,
it was a lot.
Now, mind you, in the morning time, when we first got into the rehab, I was taking 22 pills
just at
in the morning. Now, mind you, 22 pills, different kinds of pills. So I probably had about 30 pills to take at one time in the morning.
Yeah, just 20 different medications, but 30 different
Right.
pills. Because it'd be like 3 pills of one medication.
So that was a lot. That was very anxious, causing anxiety because I'm sitting there looking like, oh my gosh, what if I do something wrong and do all this other stuff?
And getting used to checking your sugar and taking insulin, my gosh, too.
Just to let you guys know, while I was in the hospital, not only did I have my heart failure, so while I was in there, I ended up having stage 4 kidney failure.
Yeah.
So I was on dialysis for three weeks.
Yeah.
Then I ended up getting diabetes.
Yeah. While I was in there.
Yeah. So all this stuff happened while I was in there, but in the doctors were even saying, man, you're going to probably have to get eventually get you a new kidney.
They were trying to cheer him up. They're like, don't worry about it. You could just have a kidney transplant.
Just have a kidney transplant
later. We were like, no.
And then he's like, we'll put you on dialysis for now.
I was like, we're not accepting that in the name of Jesus. You can go ahead and get out this.
And the doctor even told me, he says, your numbers will never get
your numbers will never be normal.
It'll never be normal. Girl, let me tell you what God says.
Yeah. Woo.
Let me tell you what God said. Let me tell you what God says now. Okay.
My gosh.
I am no longer stage 4 kidney failure. No. I am at normal levels.
Normal kidney numbers.
My kidneys are no diuretics, none of that stuff.
No more insulin.
No insulin. I'm no more diabetic, none of that stuff. And that's God's word. But the doctor said something else.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay. I understand they're practicing medicine and
they're practicing.
They're comparing you to other cases, and that's totally fine, but we're not everybody.
I had a doctor, a cardiologist, tell me, he goes, man, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and fix it. I said, man, do you believe in miracles? And he goes, yeah, I believe in miracles. I'm the one that does them.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what one of the doctors says. I perform them.
He goes, I perform. I was like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, he says, yeah, with medicine and with me.
In science is what it was.
Science, yeah. And we were like, well, we count on their miracles.
Yeah.
Okay. We count on miracles. We ready for the Lord to move, and we're looking for him to do something miraculous. So just back up and watch out.
Watch God work.
Yep. So they said basically, like, as time goes on, his tremors will get a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
His equilibrium will get a lot better. The tremors sometimes make him lose his train of thought, because I guess whatever's happening on the outside is actually happening on the inside too. So it's like a tremor type thing going on the inside too. So he has a hard time
cognitively.
Catching
issues.
His thought and stuff.
Yeah.
Almost like kind of like after the stroke. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's the same thing.
But it's pretty cool, because like the elders at our church, they're like, okay, take this month as a hiatus. And it made me really sad, because honestly, that was one of our markers when we were in the hospital. It was like, okay, we're going to get home and we're going to get to our church. Like, that was, so I kind of feel like somebody moved the finish line a little bit.
Right.
So it's like, okay, because like Sunday service, I'm watching Sunday service and the connection goes out and it's paused. Like, and I can't see the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, that was like a really great time in the message, and it's paused, right?
And Pastor Pat was killing it.
Yeah, and it was frozen.
Pastor Patricia from Liberty Church.
Yeah, she came and preached.
And all of a sudden it stopped. I was like, man. Yeah. But if we were there, we could have got all the word.
Uninterrupted.
Uninterrupted.
But anyway, no. So yeah, we're still on hiatus, and it's pretty cool, because like we're just doing housework. We're getting on each other's nerves with the housework though, because there's certain things we want organized a certain way, and he's not going anywhere. I'm just like, do you got an appointment someplace to be? But he don't. We both here together.
See, this is the difference thing, guys. Okay, as a man, she says the stuff that she wants. Like, yeah, man, I really want this to done. So guess what?
He gonna do it.
She says it. That's my job.
His way.
Boom. Okay. The other day, she looks at me and she goes, "This is why you need to let me get whatever I need to get." She goes, there's mold on this cheese.
Because he was like, don't get no more cheese.
I said, don't get no more cheese. She had a block of cheese. Listen, you guys, because some of y'all are going to understand it. This is a block of cheese, a half a block like this, sharp cheddar cheese. She gives me the block of cheese, and it's got hair on it. You know, it's got mold on it. So I'm like, okay, give it to me. So I'm opening it up. I'm about to cut all the mold off because it's cheese. It's cheese. And she has a fit. And then I'm sitting there thinking,
I'm not putting that in my mac and cheese.
And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, then listen, if you don't want me to fix it,
don't tell me.
Don't tell me. Now, when it comes to her emotions, I'll just sit down and listen. But when it comes to something like cheese and doorknobs, I'm gonna fix it, okay? Because that's what I do.
So this guy is running around fixing everything that I just toss out a thought, like, oh gosh, I was hoping to blah blah blah. Like, oh, he's off to fix it. So it's like,
and guess what? I don't go out and have to go. Guess what I fixed today? No, I just get it's done.
Next on.
What's the next thing?
Moving on. What's next? So anyway, yeah, giving each other lots of grace, and as we get through this new season, thankful for this time of hiatus, of being able to not focus on ministry stuff. We're trying our best to not think about ministry stuff. Just think about our family, our kids. Heaven's knee deep in volleyball stuff. Judah's in football, and they're doing great with their grades. Man, I'm so thankful to the Lord, you guys. Like, this was a huge thing for them. Like, they both hit some lows emotionally, and of course, I mean, who wouldn't? They're basically without parents for 5 months. There was no parents here. I mean, but Papa's more like the carpool guy. Like, he's like, tell me what you need, and tell me what time you need to be there. But they basically had like no mama and no daddy like here with them for 5 months. You guys, they still got A's and B's in school. They're still doing great in sports. Like, that's, again, another testament to God's goodness and you guys' prayers for them. So thank you so much. But we're just here, trying to give our kids all the love and all the hugs. We really miss our grandbabies. We haven't been around our grandbabies like that much because we're trying to keep the exposure to the different viruses down.
They're little petri dishes.
Yeah, well, because Mariah's in school now too, so that's the perfect time for her to pick up all the germs, which is actually good.
It's good.
It's good for kids to catch all the germs early. Like, let them.
It's just not good for me.
No, it's just not good for Grandpa, for Tata. So
and like John Bobby, like Mariah's, she's fine. She can see. She was like Tata, da da da. But John Bobby, he's kind of scared of me when I got that mask on. He always looking at me like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, like, what you doing, homeboy? Who are you? Huh? So we still haven't been around our grandkids as much as we want, or our church family, but we wanted to let you guys know, hey, we're home. We're excited about getting more situated here. We still have to go back and see our cardiologist. We promised them that we'd come back for 2 days at the end of October. So we're going to go see them for 2 days at the end of October. And then after that, they'll let us know how soon they want to see us again. But the better and stronger he gets, the further out our appointments will get. So it's good. So we love you guys. And I don't see anybody having any questions. So
yeah, we miss you guys.
Yep.
And you know, I don't even know what we're gonna do this again next Monday.
I think we will. I think we will.
We might.
Yeah, I'm up to it.
Yeah.
I'm up to it, babe.
You up to it?
Yeah, I'm up to it.
Okay.
Anybody want to know, wants to talk about anything in particular next Monday? Let us know. Send it in the comments. IM us? No, is it IM? No. DM us, not IM.
She acting like she old.
DM.
You guys, go ahead and
Yahoo Messenger.
Go ahead and DM me.
Yeah. AOL Messenger. Yeah, DM us some topics if you want us to talk about anything particular. Maybe you have a question about some things that's happened over the past 5 months. Like, we don't mind sharing. You guys already know we're super transparent.
Can you guys see how fine she is, though? Look how fine my wife is.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my life back together. I feel like I've been like in hibernation for 5 months.
She's just
so
so
trying
beautiful.
to get my life and my body back in order. But thank you, babe.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you guys for listening to us ramble. I had coffee.
Yeah. A couple of times.
I let him get a couple of words in.
A couple.
But I got all my words in.
And matter of fact, she was trying to finish my sentences. If you guys
I
noticed.
was.
Because I was like, she's like, he's going too fast. He's going too slow.
No, he's going too slow. Let me tell the story. Let me tell you.
Right.
And I feel like that came from the hospital too, because a lot of times I feel like I had to tell the doctors like what he's trying to say is, but now I'm like, okay, Kaya, he doesn't need that anymore. Have a seat. Be quiet.
And you guys know my, just real quick.
Yeah.
I shouldn't tell the story, but I'm going to have to say.
Oh, here we go.
I got into an argument with the doctor late at night. Remember that?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And basically it was all about, dude, when are you going to do something? I said, you practice in medicine. I understand practice, but there's got to be a game time. When there's a game time. You've been practicing this whole time. When's the game? I need to know when the game is. Dude got so mad. He said, fine. And just left.
Yeah, he did. He did. And I was really surprised at John, like that he even said that, because that's something I would say. But John, like you guys, he had been in there for so long. John was done. He's like, look, what we doing next? What we doing? I'm just in here every day.
You guys ain't telling me nothing.
I need a plan.
I said, I need a plan. When's game day?
Yeah. And as soon as they gave you a plan, you were fine.
I was fine. They were like,
rolled with the punches. He was cool. He actually even apologized to the doctor, you guys, the next day. He said, I apologize.
Yeah.
I've been in here a long time. You know, the doctor was like, oh, thank you, Mr. Butcher. No, I understand. And they made up. So they were friends.
It was about 2 weeks before he came back in, but yeah.
That's true. Everybody's like, you made Mr. Butcher mad? Like he was the floor favorite. And so
especially when they let me start walking.
Yeah.
They got to the point where they were just letting me walk around the unit by myself.
Yeah. He in regular clothes, y'all. He didn't even wear a hospital gown. He had on regular clothes. He looked like he was a visitor, just walking around.
They didn't even know. Sometimes they was like, excuse me, and they're like, oh, Mr. Butcher. I'm like, dude, I need to try to feel normal. Because I would get up in the morning and start, I turn on my praise and worship music. And I just dance. And I just sit there and dance. And then here comes my nurse would come in and she's looking and she's like, okay, what you listening to?
Yeah.
And I like just dancing and worshiping. Yeah. So
that's cool.
We'll talk about that later. We love y'all.
Guys. Have a great Monday. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.